Only 2 days to do as much as we can while on the Oregon coast. Failing almost every single class in school, only $400 to my name, and every reason not to go, me and my friends set off for the craziest 420 adventure of our lives.
Look how gorgeous we are out here.
We're gorgeous as shit.
Yeah, look at those mountains. Shit.
To be honest, I was half joking when I was talking to my friend James about going to the Oregon coast the following weekend. We were both still in school, did not have the best grades, and had even less money to our names, so there really was no reason that we should go to the Oregon coast. Until a couple days later, I get a text in the group chat with both of my friends saying that they were down to go. This meant we would have to leave Friday, jam as much as we could into Friday night and then Saturday, and come back home Sunday because we had school the next morning on Monday. And this plan was on a very, very tight schedule. And it was going to be even harder to pull off. But I will be damned if I'm the only one not going. So next thing you know, we get an Airbnb over in Tillamook, Oregon. So it was official. We were definitely going to Oregon. And that week leading up to the Friday we were leaving was so slow. But finally, it was Thursday night. I packed my bags, checked my horde grades one last time, and then we set off for Oregon the next morning. We skipped school and basically instantly left because it was going to be a long drive for a short weekend. It was a 7-hour drive if we wanted to go to the Airbnb without stopping, and we had to drive like all the way through Washington. And if you've ever driven through Washington, you know that it's just fields and grass for miles at some points. And it was the 420 weekend, so you best believe we had grass in the car too. We're driving around fucking Washington and we are super hungry and somehow even more faded. And so that's when all of a sudden my friend James remembers that Jack in the Box had this limited time 420 munchie meal, like Pineapple Express thing for all the stoners out there. And so we decided that we wanted to go get that. So we're trying to locate this fucking Jack in the Box. Next thing you know, we pull up there. So we hit up the drive-thru, and mad faded, me and James order our food just fine. Then it comes to Adriel's turn, and this dude's whispering sweet secrets at the microphone, so we're like, dude, speak up, they cannot fucking hear you. And the cart must have hit his brain harder than anything else, because he lost all processing skills and started screaming at the microphone. Me and James instantly lost our shit because we didn't know what the fuck he was doing, and he wasn't even ordering right. I mean, look at him.
I'm gonna do the build your own Jack's munchie meal. Yeah. Can I get the clock? 2 tacos, 4 onion rings. The Pineapple Express. Yeah. Nope. $50. What? Oh my god. Adriel, what the fuck did you just speak to James's window? Why'd you come back to mine?
So this man is ordering the 420 munchie meal, more cooked than the food is, as if ordering the munchie meal isn't obvious enough that we're faded. But regardless, we got our food and we went to do like some type of food review for y'all, but as you can see, it did not matter what this food tasted like. We were about to enjoy it. So we ate up our food and then we got back up on the road. And so we were planning to drive over to Portland and stop there. We planned on stopping at Portland on the way there and on the way back to just jam as much as we could into this weekend. But as we're driving, we drive a couple more hours through Washington. We finally hit Oregon and we need to get gas. And the first station at Miles was coming up, so we pull off on this fucking exit ramp. As soon as we pull off, we're instantly confused because the sign says that the gas station is still a couple miles away and there's traffic backed up almost to the fucking exit ramp we just got off of. So we're looking at each other hella confused. But eventually we pull up to this gas station to see lines that would rival Disney World. It was blasphemous. Like, these lines were going all the way out and not a single fucking car is even moving. Because if y'all don't know, Oregon and New Jersey are the 2 only states in America that pumping gas is a job. Like, people pump your gas for you, and a lot of stations you aren't even allowed to pump your own gas. And so we're waiting in this line. There's one dude pumping everybody's gas, and he's chopping it up with this middle-aged white chick for like 10 fucking minutes. Like, keep the lines moving. You can probably find unlimited copy and paste of this chick at fucking Barnes and Noble and white tasting clubs. Let's keep this line going, man. I don't got all fucking day. And so he probably spends 5 more minutes talking to her. We're looking around at all these other lines, and not even one is so much as idling forward. But he finally goes to start pumping other cars' gases, so we know we're gonna be sitting there for a minute. Like, it is clear he is in no rush to pump everyone's gas. And so we're mad faded. So for whatever reason, we switch lines like 4 fucking times, and none of them are moving. At this point, I look over and I see this fucking gas pump where I'm pretty sure that it's a line where you can pump your own gas. So I let my homeboy know and we whip over there. Because at this point, we had been waiting for damn near 25 to 30 minutes just to pull up to a pump. And so we whip over there and there appears to be like 2 fucking cars in front of us. So we figure it's gonna go pretty quick. But we could not have been more wrong. The first SUV pumps their gas and they pull off pretty quick. So the second car in front of us, they pull up to the pump and we're like, okay, good. We'll be on the road here quickly. No, we were not on the road here quickly. This bitch jumps out of the fucking driver's seat and she starts looking at the gas pump like it's some type of alien technology. So we're all staring at her like, what the fuck are you doing? Because she had Washington plates on her car, so she should know how to pump fucking gas. Not to mention, she is driving a fucking vehicle that operates off of gasoline, so you should know how to pump it. And if you don't, there are people who do it for you as their job, getting those lines. So we're staring at her. She spends fucking like 5 to 10 minutes trying to figure out how to work it without even lifting the gas pump. And so we all pull out our cameras because we're like, what the fuck is going on? And that's when she goes into the car, starts talking to the passenger, and then presses this button, and this apparatus on top of the car starts to fucking expand to let down a wheelchair. So we're all staring at this shit, thinking a transformer is transforming right in front of us and thinking we're about to see some cool shit, but instead, the complete opposite happens. She lets down this wheelchair, lets the chick in the passenger seat know that the wheelchair is down, and she gets into it. So we're all staring at her like, are you really about to make the disabled chick pump your gas? Why? There's a guy who does this right over there as his fucking job, getting that line. And so we're all recording because there's a fucking, the thingamajiggers in front of us with a bunch of weird apparatuses on top, letting down wheelchairs. This entire gas station just feels like a fever dream in itself. So we're all sitting in this car, just confused, but also amazed at the technology on top of this car. As we're recording this shit, the fucking people are staring at us, just fucking mean mugging us. So they're staring at us, we're staring right back at them, and we're very confused because we might not have been getting gas, but we sure as hell were smoking gas. We're mad high staring at them and recording this fucking transformer in front of us. Next thing you know, the disabled chick starts bawling her eyes out, sobbing, crying hysterically while staring at us. So now we're even more confused, and that's when the chick who was driving and didn't know how the gas pump worked starts recording us and taking pictures of our license plate and shit. So now we're just sitting there, and I'm fucking like, there's no way that you're gonna see us recording that apparatus on top of your car, and your first thought is we're making fun of you. The logic makes 0 sense, but clearly she didn't have much logic in her head anyway. So they finish pumping up their gas, they're crying and mean mugging us the whole time, but eventually they put that wheelchair back up in that weird shit on top of their car, and the thingamajig took a hop, skip, and a jump and left that gas station. So we were able to pump our gas and get back on the road. But we fucking just pumped our gas, stopped by the gas station real quick, and then started heading out for Portland. We still had a couple hour drive to Portland, and it was starting to get a little bit later, and we'd spent way too much time at that gas station, so we basically just drove all the way to fucking Portland without stopping. And by the time we got there, it was about 6:30 to 7, so the sun was like already setting since it was fucking like in April. But regardless, we pulled up and we parked up our car. But we are blazing harder than Damian Lillard in the fourth quarter, and we are on a mission. We're trying to find any type of smoke shop that's gonna sell us blunt wraps, because we had weed and a bong, but we wanted some fucking joints. So we hit up every single smoke shop we can find, and faded as shit, we have no luck. We got kicked out of every single one. So we go to some shops and go to some malls to try and just find some stores to walk around, but every single one is either closed or closing. So we just decided to cut our losses and head back for the fucking Airbnb, because it was still like an hour and a half away or so. So we start walking, and we're walking, and we're still walking. We can't find the fucking parking lot with our car. So we start to get a little nervous, like, no fucking way did we already get lost in Portland the fucking first, not even hour of the time in Oregon that we're here for. And so eventually, like right as we're thinking this, we walk into the parking lot where our car is. So we let out a sigh of relief, only to realize that the parking lot just looked the exact same as the one that we parked in, and we were indeed lost. And so immediately we all pull out our phones. We're looking for any type of video, picture, or even clue as to where we parked, hoping one of us took a picture or video, but nobody did. At least not a good one. I had a video on my phone that was less than 3 seconds long, and it was literally just where we paid to park. It didn't even show the full parking lot. But feeling like I had some type of treasure map or clue to a scavenger hunt in my hand, I started fucking walking.
Alrighty, update to the series. We're a little bit lost.
And so we're walking for probably a good 30 more minutes, and we probably found 5 to 6 more parking lots that looked like ours, but eventually we did find our car and we got back on the road. It was even later than we'd wanted it to be by the time we fucking got back on the road because we were delayed by the gas station, everything was closed, we got lost. It was not going good so far, so we were fucking already late, and by the time we pulled up to Seaside, every store was gonna be closed. So we figured we needed to stop by some type of fucking place to get some groceries for the trip. So we stopped at the Safeway, got loaded up on groceries, got back on the road, and we were flying down these back roads listening to some music at like probably close to 11 at night. And then finally, we pull up to the Airbnb. So we run up in there, we rampage, we fucking show everything off on camera, right? Get our stuff fucking settled down, unpack everything, and then it was time to start the trip. You're probably thinking, Owen, what is your high ass talking about? Y'all already started the trip. Well, this house looked magical, but it was about to look even more magical after we took some magic mushrooms. We had everything laid out across the island of this kitchen, and we basically instantly took some. Me and my friend James took about 1.5 grams, whereas Adriel took closer to 3 grams or so. And so once we took them, we're all kind of just fucking around. We brought this big ass speaker, so we're just blaring music, jumping up and down on the countertops and island of the kitchen, having our own rave essentially, just acting like the usual suspects of Airbnbs as our dopamine glands got sucked dry. Eventually, we started to trip a little bit. So at this point, we went out onto the porch to smoke because if you don't know, smoking weed actually helps with like mushroom trips and makes you trip harder. So we were going out there to kickstart our night. We're out there, we're smoking a little bit, and eventually we were actually tripping. So now it was time to start this movie because Adriel had apparently been waiting for months to watch the new Roadhouse movie. And so this was the perfect time to fucking watch it. We went inside and we popped the movie on. So we turned out the lights, made some popcorn and some other snacks, even though our trippin' asses didn't eat a thing of it. And me and James are watching this movie, laughing our asses off at almost every line that is said in this movie. We are tripping hard. And so at some point, I look over at Adriel and I can't even tell if he's paying attention, which is weird because he'd been looking forward to seeing this movie. So I'm kind of thinking he's having a bad trip, but this movie's too funny for me to not watch. So suddenly, James needs to go to the bathroom. We pause the movie. So at this point, I go to check in on Adriel, kind of assess the situation, see if he's having a bad trip. So I'm just talking to him, asking him questions about the movie, and it turns out this motherfucker was locked into the movie. He wasn't even laughing, smiling, talking, gasping, nothing. The 3 grams he took must have given him tunnel vision, no Kodak, because he was only paying attention to the movie. I probably could have gotten up and killed myself and he wouldn't have said much, but I was just glad he was having a good trip. James eventually came back from the bathroom, so we pressed play on the movie. And at the time, I genuinely believed that this was the funniest movie I have ever seen. It might have been the mushrooms talking, but I've never laughed that hard at a movie. I was laughing the entire time. So it was definitely the mushrooms talking, but still, highly recommend the movie to anybody trying to watch something funny. And so after we finished the movie, we head out onto the porch to smoke again. We're all chilling out there just talking, you know, we're kind of getting towards the end of our trip, and as we're talking, James starts to realize Adriel doesn't remember a single thing about this movie. He can't name a single character, the name of the Roadhouse, which is just Roadhouse. He can't even name Conor McGregor's name as like his character in the movie, and that was the main thing that he fucking cared about.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of it. I was like, oh, the fucking hack was funny as shit.
Yeah, he was a good ass character.
You remember Mo?
You need to rewatch that shit.
I'll rewatch it.
That's my second time. It's just that good. I'll watch it a 3rd time.
No, I'll watch it tomorrow. Yeah. Tripping even harder.
That's what I'm saying.
So as we're sitting there, laughing our asses off about how Adriel was locked in and doesn't remember a single detail about the movie, I start to realize that I don't think I can answer a single one of these questions that James is asking either. And it's as if he could smell the fear radiating off of me, because the second I start realizing this, he starts questioning me too. And so I'm sitting there just like, trying to think and trying to fucking remember, but I don't remember a single thing. So it's pretty clear that James is the only one that remembered anything about this movie, and it was also pretty clear that these were some good-ass mushrooms, but our trip was starting to end. And so we're all sitting out there kind of just contemplating if we want to take more mushrooms, because the end of a really good trip is kind of like leaving a shitty job with good coworkers, you know? Like, you're kind of happy you're moving on, things are ending, but you're not, like, ready to say goodbye yet. You're not sure if you want it to end. So we're sitting out there really contemplating if we're ready to start a full new trip. Like, this is a commitment, you know? But then we start to realize it's just about 3 to 4 in the morning. So if we take these shrooms right now, we are not sleeping. We are just going straight into the next day. And so we realized that tomorrow's the biggest day of the trip. We can't even risk being tired for this shit, so it's probably better if we just don't take more and we just go to sleep. So we ended up passing out just before 4 in the morning, and then we woke up probably around 9:30 the next day.
We have officially made it to day 2 on Airbnb. Adriel, what are we saying? You like seeing yourself on that?
Day 2. I can see myself on.
You like that shit?
I do like that shit.
Like that shit?
I fucking like that shit.
Getting ready to go on an adventure to Tillamook.
Adventure to Tillamook and the cheese factory! The cheese factory! The cheese factory! Ooh, that.
We woke up off of 5 hours of sleep with energy drinks waiting in the fridge and shrooms waiting on the countertop. Not only was today 4/20/24, which is 4/20/24 backwards, so technically double 4/20 and the biggest stoner holiday we will see in our lifetimes, but this was also the biggest day of the trip. We were driving through at least fucking probably 18 different small towns all the way up the coast of Oregon to the top where Astoria was. And so this was a big old day. And so we had to start the day off right. We went straight out to the porch and we fucking started smoking. Me and Adriel had planned on tripping for like the entire day, but I didn't want to leave James out. I wanted to trip together, and he was driving his mom's car, so he didn't plan on tripping. But he told me he was going to be more pissed if I didn't trip and have fun. So after we smoked, we headed inside, and me and Adriel ate up our shrooms. I probably took just about a gram, but the caps on these mushrooms were more potent than a fucking middle schooler with Axe body spray. They were strong, and I found that out last night. And so I took probably just about a gram. Adriel ended up taking probably 1.5 to 2 grams. I'm honestly not too sure, but one of the mushrooms he took was an inch around the stem. It was huge, and it was a mind mutilator. That shit was gonna fuck him up. And so we ate up. We ended up going back out to the porch again to smoke one more time, and then we packed up a bag for the day, which consisted of a bong, weed, a torch, towels, and more shroomage. It was really not a big bag, just a fucking 420 bag, I guess.
I'm gonna tell y'all a secret that no one's gonna know about until he watches it. Okay, ready? Okay. Okay, so what I gotta tell y'all motherfuckers is, we finna blow up and get rich though. This is a manifestation fucking briefing. Just to let you know, we're doing big things. I can't get this shit right though. We're doing big things. Finna win. I promise you. I promise you. Don't. Okay. Now the real message. There's 26 kilos. Okay, there's 26 kilos of cocaine, 36 kilos of heroin, 46 kilos of fentanyl, all in your apartment. You're fucked.
And so we packed that shit up and headed out for the day. Before we were gonna drive all the way up the coast, we wanted to get some breakfast first. So we told Adriel to find some type of fucking like breakfast place that we could go to. This dude pulls up fucking Lighthouse Cafe. So we pull up there. This place was not a breakfast place. He literally looked at all the pictures and told us it was a breakfast place. It was a lunch and dinner place. I don't know what the fuck his high ass was talking about. But as we pulled up there, I wasn't really tripping. I wasn't really feeling my shrooms. But little did I know, this place was gonna jumpstart the fuck out of my trip. The place that Adriel chose happened to be a retro mid-60s to 70s diner. And everything there was in pristine condition. And so we walk in there, and this place is it's a small place, right? On the left side, it's just booths lining it. Probably about fucking 8 to 10 booths max, and the other side is just the kitchen and this countertop where you order. They don't even have servers. You walk up, you order, they bring out the food, and everything in there is retro. It's from the fucking 60s to 70s, and it's in pristine condition. It looks brand new. It literally felt like stepping into a time machine when I walked in there. And so as soon as I do that, I don't know why, but that shit starts kickstarting my trip. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? I start getting confused, right? And so I'm looking at this place. All of a sudden, as I'm looking towards the end of the restaurant, I realized that it doesn't actually end. It goes into this other room that looked like it was a fucking arcade room, and it was at least as big as the entire restaurant area. So I'm like, oh, holy shit, I'm tripping. Because why the fuck would that actually be there? I didn't think that shit existed. So we sat down, we look around for our food, we end up ordering, right? After we order, we go to check out that place. Thank God that shit actually existed, because I thought my high ass was genuinely tweaking. But this room was at least the size of the full restaurant to the size of it, and plus like half of it. This place was huge with art, not only just arcade games, but fucking retro kiddie rides, like fucking horses, cars, everything from the mid 60s to 70s, and in pristine working condition. And then all the posters, wallpaper, everything down to the fucking vending machine in there and the soda cans in it were from the fucking 60s to 70s. So I'm now was starting to really trip. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. How is this in pristine condition? My tripping brain literally refused to fucking accept the fact that this was just some retro diner in pristine condition. So I'm probably about 15 minutes into my jump-started trip, and every 2 minutes or so, I can just feel my trip get way more intense and my visuals almost double. It is clear I'm about to be tripping way harder than I thought. I'm looking around this place thinking I'm about to be in the next Outsiders movie or something. I genuinely thought these mushrooms were about to mutilate my mind and shit me out in the 70s right here in this diner, and I was not about to let that happen. Because the thing with shrooms is, you can always feel when you're about to trip way harder than you thought. And it's kind of like riding a bull, you know? You either get shaken up real bad until you kind of figure it out and have a good time, you know, riding on that thing, or you get shaken up real hard, thrown off to the ground, that bull strips you naked, penetrates you from every single angle while he whispers sweet nightmares in your mind and scrambles your brain from reality. That probably sounds pretty bad, but I promise you, a bad trip is much, much worse than that. I've had far too many bad trips. At some point, I had 3 back-to-back bad trips, and it fried the fuck out of my brain to the point where for a minimum of 7 months after that, when I was sober, I would just randomly start tripping. So I know the feeling of when my trip starts to get way more intense, and I need to start controlling it. And I was right there before we got to explore that area back there. So eventually, we walked back to the table, and I'm kind of starting to die down. You know, I'm still tripping hella bad, but it's not fucking doubling every 2 minutes anymore. I'm kind of finding like an even slot, you know, a sweet spot. So our food shows up, we fucking eat up, and it was honestly some of the best and most interesting burgers like I've ever had. My shit was just stuff, I can't even remember what I got. I was tripping pretty hard. But I just remember Adriel and James got this fucking mac and cheese, like this deep fried mac and cheese burger. Everything there was good as fuck. And if you're ever in fucking Tillamook area, go to Seaside Cafe, or fucking go to Lighthouse Cafe. That shit is gas. But after we ate, it was time to load up and go to Tillamook Cheese Factory, our last stop in Tillamook. Once we got in the car, James made the executive decision that he was going to trip and drive. So obviously me and Adriel were just like, fuck yeah, you know, we're 10 times more excited for the day now. We're all tripping together. Adriel was excited enough to take another gram of mushrooms on top of that monstrosity of a mushroom he took this morning. So he's at bare minimum 3 grams deep before 10:30 in the morning. And so I see all this. Everyone's taking some. It looks like we're in for a bit of a party. So I'm like, fuck it, run me some more. And so I only take like another 0.5, half of a gram, because my trip is off to a bit of a weird start. And I didn't want to risk ruining the funnest day of the trip with a bad mushroom trip. So I was just going to take some more if I needed to. And so we all eat up. James probably takes a good gram to start off his day, and we set out for the cheese factory. It was probably about 20 to 25 minutes away. And as we're pulling into this place, I start looking at it and I'm fucking confused because me and James had both been there when we were younger, and this place looks nothing like how I remember it. Like, I'm staring at this thing and we're at the wrong fucking place. But I figure it's just because I'm tripping and the last time I went there I was super young. So I just kind of ignore it, shake it off. We park up and start walking out. First thing I fucking see is this gigantic mural of a cow, and it's fucking like, looks like it's painted like a fucking king in like the king of Europe in the mid 1700s or some shit, like some nice oil paints. So I'm staring at that, and this shit puts me in a trance. Like, I'm tripping ass, and they got this 15-foot tall portrait of a cow staring down on me in like fucking menacingly. I felt intimidated, threatened, a little bit in love, but mostly feared. So I fucking was like, oh hell no, I'm stuck in a trance looking at this thing. It looks mad realistic to me, but also fake and cartoonish, and it starts moving and opening its mouth. So I'm like, and at this point, all my other friends see that shit, and we all start flipping our shit about the cow. We go to walk in, and that's when we see this fucking area that said designated smoking area. So we stopped to take a fucking quick smoke break, which for whatever reason was funny as fuck to us at the time.
Tripping into Tillamook. Tripping into Tillamook. Do you want to stop here and smoke?
Yeah.
We're adults. We could literally. Dude, why are so many people coming in? It's like a field trip.
But after our fiend sesh, we headed inside of the cheese factory. And so my trip was off to a bit of a weird start. You know, I'm having a kind of a bad trip. I'm fighting off this bad trip from fully like taking over me, you know, like I'm riding that bull right now. And so I'm fighting that thing off. My fucking stomach hurts. I'm just trying to see some damn cheese and get the fuck out of there. I'm expecting to see some cheese, but instead all I see is fucking Asians. Like, I'm not playing around. Our entire time in Oregon, we'd seen 2 Asian people, and it was the ones that we made cry at that gas station. In Portland, we didn't see one, but I guess it was because every single Asian person in the state of Oregon was congregated at Tillamook Cheese Factory, and I'm 6'2", so I can see over most people. Wall to wall, fucking everywhere, staircase, upstairs, it's all just a sea of Asians. And so I'm sitting there, it's like, because to be honest, my tripping mind could not wrap my head around the fact that like everyone in here was Asian, yet in the entire state of Oregon, and not even in the parking lot of the cheese factory, had I seen an Asian. They were all just, I literally could not wrap my mind around it, and it was tripping me out. All of the noise in there, the other languages, the Asian people, the cheese, all of it was fucking with me, and it was just too much to fight off while having a bad trip. And so we fucking go upstairs to just check out the shit, because me and James remembered that the upstairs level was where you could see like the machinery, the cheese being cut, and all this shit. So I'm starting to think, I'm like, okay, this should probably be pretty cool to the trip in mind, you know, I can just focus on that and, like, you know, cancel out the noise or whatever. We walk up there, I look out one side, out all those windows, it's just vats and vats and vats of milk. So I'm like, nothing cool over here, I guess. Turn around, walk over to the other side, and it's literally just factory workers doing their fucking jobs for shitty wages. Like, it's just conveyor belt workers passing cheese down the line, and there's just a smoking fucking machine. So I'm sitting there, disappointed as fuck. I'm out loud going, where's the cool shit? You know, where's the machinery? It's just people doing their jobs. Like, I'm saying all of this out loud, and there are families all around, and right next to us there's a single mom with 2 of her kids, and my friends are laughing at everything I'm saying, but I definitely ruined at least one of those families' trips to the cheese factory. But I did not care, because my trip in the cheese factory was already completely ruined. And so at this point I'm like, you know what, fuck this. If we stay in this cheese factory, I am going to have a bad trip. I know that if we leave, I can save this trip and it'll be good, so we need to get the fuck out of this cheese factory. I'm saying all this in my head, and then so I go on a mission, because I had a bunch of people who requested shit from me from this specific cheese factory, but I'm tripping, there's hella cheese, there's hella Asians, and I don't know what's going on. So I fucking run downstairs, I'm looking at all this cheese. And what I didn't know at the time was my girlfriend requested a cheese that didn't even exist. And like, I'm from Idaho, not Wisconsin. I'm not no cheesehead. I don't know the difference with that shit. So I'm tripping ass. I run downstairs. I'm looking at all of this cheese, and there is so much cheese. This cheese is disorienting the fuck out of me. The more cheese I look at, the more I fucking confused I get. I practically can't tell from my fucking up from down, my left from right, or my straight from my gay. I am fucked up right now. So I'm looking at all this cheese. I'm looking around, and I'm trying to find the fucking cheese that everyone had specifically requested, but I'm tripping far too hard for this. All this cheese is disoriented me. I look over here, it's just block of cheese. I look over here, it's just a sea of Asians, and all sorts of noise. And I'm like, you know what? Fuck this. Y'all are just getting cheese. So I start just grabbing all sorts of bricks of random fucking cheese, and each cheese block I stack in my arms just intensifies my trip more and more. Every Asian, every block of cheese, everything I look at was just intensifying my trip. And looking back on it, I was definitely just peaking in this Tillamook cheese factory, but for whatever reason, I associated all of this happening to just the sheer amount of cheese and Asians. The logic wasn't there, but I was tripping hella hard, so it didn't matter. But regardless, I'm fucking carrying all these blocks of cheese in my arms like a fucking baby, and we go over to the fucking checkout to leave Tillamook, pay for the cheese, and get up out of there. And then all of a sudden, that's when that Lighthouse Cafe comes back to fucking bite, and my stomach had been hurting this whole time. And if y'all don't know, having a stomach ache on mushrooms can actually affect your trip pretty badly. And so I'm like, oh fuck, this might be one of my trips getting fucked up because my stomach hurts from that damn Lighthouse Cafe. So I literally fucking give all my cheese to Adriel, throw 50 bucks at him, and start running over to the bathroom. But the thing is, mushrooms and shitting do not go well together. They do not work together. And if you have consistently tripped, you probably know this. But you're basically just a useless body sitting there waiting to be done. Just a shitty, useless fucking body. It genuinely feels like going back to the infant state. Like just sitting there waiting for your fucking diaper to be changed or something. So I had my worst druggy fiend moment ever when this happened to me, probably 2 years back. I take 4 grams of mushrooms, and I was in the Fred Meyer bathroom, and I was peeking right then and there in that bathroom trying to fucking shit, and I couldn't. I just kept looking up, and my stall door was wide open, and there was almost always someone there just going, oh god, what the fuck, then closing the door, and I tried to lock it, look back up, it was magically, that's a story for another time. It was really bad, but point is, having stomach aches can affect your trip for the worse. And so I was fucking fighting those Lighthouse Cafe demons, end up leaving and going to get my cheese. After I get my cheese, Adriel already paid for it, so we go back out to the car. As we're walking out there, I literally can feel all the demons leaving my body, and I'm just going back to a normal trip, fucking happy and laughing, right? So we load up in the car, and we get ready to fucking drive up the rest of the coast for our first stop in Rockaway Beach. And so Lighthouse Cafe demons are settled, we're back on the road, we're back to tripping and laughing and listening to fucking Bob Marley and some fucking reggae music or whatever, and the vibes are there. We're all good now. Rockaway Beach was just under an hour away, and at this point, I kind of thought that I'd reached my peak in the cheese factory, but I was still tripping hella hard, so I could not tell. Adriel was still tripping really hard as well, and James was on the come up to peaking. And basically, as soon as we got on the road, it started pouring down like a genuine rainstorm. And so I realized that James is most likely going to be tripping hella hard and reach his peak while we're driving through a fucking rainstorm on a windy road next to the ocean. And so I give him the option. I'm like, hey man, just so you know, fucking like I'm on the come down right now more than tripping. So if you don't feel comfortable to drive, just let me know and I can drive. I was capping my ass off to him. I was still tripping hella hard. I just knew that he would have a better trip and feel more comfortable if he had the option there. So that's why I gave it to him. And plus, I'm experienced with tripping and driving, so I figured I'd offer, especially since it was his mom's car. But regardless, it is pouring down rain. We have the windshield wipers at max, but we can't see shit besides the car's headlights that are coming down the other side of the road. So it's pretty bad. We're driving for a little while, but eventually, as soon as the fucking rainstorm clears up, we are at Rockaway Beach. And so we didn't even initially plan on stopping here. We basically just pulled up and we looked over. We saw town, ocean, weed bag, and got out of the car. It was 4:20. We had pens in the car, but we wanted it all. So we pulled over, got onto this beach. I had my backpack on with the weed bag, and we start walking out there. There is a max of 2 people on this beach as far as the eye can see. So instantly, we all go on a rampage. We start sprinting around, screaming, yelling, just literally being walking, running, talking mushrooms. Because after tripping in the car during a rainstorm and the cheese factory, being on this beach felt like we had just fucking unlocked the full map to a video game or bought some DLCs or something. I don't even know. All I do know was we were on an absolute rampage on this beach. Eventually, we settled down and we found a good spot to smoke. I'd been tripping for a good 2 to 3 business hours and was most definitely on the come down, but I had a good hour and a half left to this trip. Adriel was in the same boat and James was tripping a little bit harder than us. But after we smoked, we got back up in the car and started driving to the fucking next stop, which was going to be Cannon Beach, the most famous beach in Oregon. And this is where things get a little bit blurry because at some point on that car ride over to Cannon Beach, we all took more mushrooms. How much? I have no idea, but enough to make me forget how much we took and put a bit of a blur over some areas of the trip itself. But regardless, we pull up to Cannon Beach and we walk up out there, and we were met with not a single soul out there. The other beach had 2 people and was smaller. Cannon Beach was fucking gigantic, and as far as we could see, there wasn't a single fucking person there. But it was cold, windy, and a little bit rainy, so it made sense. Regardless though, I was fucking happy. I go up out there and I start sprinting around again because, like, I don't know if this happens to y'all, but when I'm tripping, I be feeling primal as hell, like a Neanderthal almost, you know? Like, I just want to be in some type of rainforest, covered in mud, dirty, wet, tired, just running around with a spear in my hand, chasing around my prey, just killing that fucker and hawking it back to my town. That's definitely just a me thing, but when I'm tripping, I be feeling like I need to go kill something with a spear. I don't know. We're on this fucking beach, and it's perfect for that. It's rainy, it's wet, it's cold. I feel fucking primal. I start sprinting around, running around, just fucking acting a fool, being once again a walking mushroom on this fucking beach. But after we fucking tire ourselves out, or not even really tired ourselves out, but just wanted to smoke, we found this good spot where I had like this fucking rock that broke the wind, and we could just chill there and smoke. I fucking took out my backpack, and I had these towels in there that like I used to support the bong so it wouldn't break. I laid them out across the sand so we'd have a place to sit, and to be honest, I don't know what I was thinking because it had just finished raining, and where we were at high tide would be in the water, so that sand was soaking wet, and literally the second I put that fucking towel down, it was like putting a paper towel into a sink. It was instantly beyond fucking saving. It was wet as hell, and I'm like, well, looks like we ain't got nowhere to sit. But we ended up fucking posting up, smoking around for a second, loading up those wet ass towels into my backpack and lugging them back up to the car. And I really did feel like that primal hawking up that fucking bag back up to the car because that shit probably had next to 30 pounds in it. I felt like I was bringing back my kill, and I did not like that shit. We got to the car, I took off that backpack, felt like I fucking just had at least 90 pounds taken off my back, hopped up in the car, and we start driving once more. We're all soaking wet, cold as hell, high as hell, and tripping ass. But we're on the way to the main stop of the entire day, Seaside, Oregon. And we had left Cannon Beach at like 4 o'clock. We were way behind schedule. We had so much stuff we wanted to do when we got back to the Airbnb, but from a multitude of things, from traffic, tripping, smoke breaks, pit stops, a lot of reasons, we were very far behind schedule. And so we're heading out to fucking Seaside, knowing that we're gonna have to be a little bit quicker than we want to be. And so we were all about to peak, and we did not even know we were about to peak. As we're driving, James is so focused on driving that he doesn't really know how hard he's tripping. So he starts to take some more shrooms, and he took more, which made Adriel take more, which made me take more. So now we're all just eating more shrooms, even though we are just about to peak and don't even know it. But we're driving to Seaside, and what we didn't know was that Seaside was only 15 to 20 minutes away from Cannon Beach. we didn't have Google Maps on. I don't know if it was because we forgot to put it on or if we turned it off because the bitch's voice was ruining the vibe. I don't know what it was, but we did not have Google Maps on. But regardless, we pull up to Seaside. As we're driving through, I'm looking around. I'm recognizing a lot of stuff because I'd been there quite a bit. But the last time I was there was when LeBron came back from that 3-1 comeback in the NBA Finals. So I'm looking around. I'm like, oh, I remember going to this movie theater, watching stuff. I'm just remembering all sorts of stuff. I'm thinking all this in my head. Like, I'm so deep tripping in my head. I'm not saying anything out loud, even though the car is dead silent. Nobody's talking. We're all in the same mind state. And so we're driving and we're driving and we're still driving. And then suddenly we see a sign that says Astoria a couple miles away. And we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Because the thing was, Astoria was almost a full 2 hours away from Cannon Beach. Seaside was only 15 to 20 minutes. So I have no idea how the fuck we drove that far. I don't even know how far we fucking drove, but we flipped the bitch and started heading right back into town. We were tripping so hard that we drove through and missed an entire town, even though we'd all acknowledged the fact that we were there just in our heads. All three of us individually acknowledged it in our heads that we were in Seaside. So we flip a bitch, start heading back into Seaside. And we had to drive an extra 20 to 30 minutes before we arrived at Seaside. Again, but this entire time we're driving there, we're all talking like, oh, how the fuck did we miss that entire town? Like, how the fuck does that just happen? We come to the conclusion that we missed Seaside because the town was skinny one way and very long the other way. Now that I'm not tripping, this makes absolutely zero sense, and I don't know how we arrived to Seaside in one piece. But regardless, we got there.
Yeah, I'll just hold on to the one that you don't have. Or you don't want or whatever.
Oh. Fuck, do I need more?
When you question it, you probably... I don't know.
I know, that's the thing! So like a little bit. I'm just gonna take a little bit, just put my mind at ease.
Yeah. Facts. Just be like, okay, I did it, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think I just break a little bit off this shit looks like.
Take that whole thing.
Probably so...
Dude, that's how big like my first one was.
Dude, that's how much me and Owen used to take that like nothing. Like, I don't even know how he used to do that shit. That shit was crazy.
I feel like this is... Oop.
Nope.
I feel like this is still more than I want though. It's not even like...
It's just like some bark. It won't even run it.
A little bark with some...
Bark with some bite. That's facts though.
I gotta take my seatbelt off.
I need to find it to water.
Schmeal bar.
Schmeal bar? Where? Where's the Schmeal bar?
I just said that shit.
We got there, parked up, and started walking around. We hit the main strip of the town, and like, Seaside is right on the ocean front. It's a very touristy town. Probably the most tourist-trapped, like, fucking town on the entire coast of Oregon. At least that I have been to personally. And so, this was exactly what we were looking for. We start walking around, and we're going down this main strip that has a bunch of shops, like arcades, fucking clothes shops, ice cream places, basically anything you can name that a tourist would want to go to. And so, we're tripping, and we're walking up this fucking road. All of a sudden, in the middle of the fucking street, I see a bunch of trash and cardboard boxes just literally rolling down the road like a fucking tumbleweed. My tripping ass thought this was the funniest thing in the world. I'm like, oh my god, it's a San Francisco tumbleweed. My friends hear that, look at that, and we all start laughing at how it's rolling. And we're being super loud. Like, anyone who looks at us will know that we are not sober. But I mean, it was the 420 weekend. It was 420 actually that day. So like, who in Oregon was sober, you know? But besides the point, at this moment, I realized that we are most definitely gonna have to like keep it down a little bit more and try to hide our trip better now that we're in a very, very public setting. But as we're walking up this strip, we are all peeking the fuck, like we are all tripping so fucking hard. Every single person looks super weird and we're almost laughing every time we look at them. There's so many shops all around us and we want to go in every single one. But for some reason, we're just pointing and going, oh my god, look at that place, and walking right past it instead of going in. We did this for a straight mile until we were just on the beach and there were no more shops to point at and look at while we walked past them. So now we're on the beach and we're just walking around, and at this point, this is just about when the camera that I brought had fucking just died right out in the middle of this fucking trip, which I was super pissed about. But we're on this fucking Oregon beach. I'm tripping harder than I have this entire time, and I'm just staring at this landscape. The sun is shining through the clouds over the ocean with some sun rays. The fucking mountains and the greenness of the fucking Oregon country. It all just looked so beautiful. It was enough to make my tripping ass almost cry just from the sheer beauty of it. So me and my friends are just walking around searching for sand dollars and seashells, but in my tripping mind, we're looking for treasure, and we're just walking around. I hear my friends laughing. I got the fucking wind in my hair, sand in my feet, weed in my lungs, and shrooms in my brain. I don't have a problem in the world. I feel like pure dopamine and happiness just wandering around. And then all of a sudden, I look forward and I see the sandbar. instant tunnel vision. I get this fucking tunnel vision back to a memory I had when I was in like fucking 6th, 7th grade, the last time I was in Seaside. I fucking remember specifically that sandbar right there was only supposed to come out in like the mornings and nights in some weird schedule. Like we fucking talked to the locals around the town and they told us that they call it fucking like Sand Dollar Island or some shit because there's always full sand dollars there and it only comes out at specific times. But here I was at 5:30 p.m. staring directly at that with a group of at least 10 tourists on there searching for sand dollars too. So instantly I'm like, oh hell no, they aren't finding my sand dollars. I start flipping my shit. I interrupt my friends in their conversation. I'm like, we gotta go over to that sand, we gotta go over to that thing, we gotta go over to that thing. I try to explain to them like that it's a fucking sandbar with fucking sand dollars on it. I thought I did a flawless job, but apparently they didn't understand a word of what I was saying and it probably sounded exactly how I just said it to y'all. And so I just take off, start sprinting over there and jump over this fucking small little like creek onto the sandbar. And so because it was like low tide, the water was like wrapped around it, but whatever. I fucking run over there, sprint, jump over that shit. My friends follow shortly behind me and now we're just running around picking up sand dollars and seashells because like we hadn't found a single sand dollar or seashell this entire time, and the second we get there I instantly find 3. I'm showing these to my friends and they're like, holy shit. So they start running. We're all sprinting around just picking up these sand dollars, just fucking laughing hella loud. Like we're tripping so hard. This shit felt like pure dopamine. I'm just sprinting, picking up sand dollars, shoving them in my pocket and competing with my friends to try and find the fucking rarest one with different colors and shit. We're all running around being super loud trying to find these fucking sand dollars before that other group of tourists does. Eventually I fill up every pocket that I had on me, which was a lot of pockets, and I fucking am just like, damn, what are we doing? Like we were so locked into the grind searching for those seashells, we forgot what we were even doing. We just probably been sprinting around for a straight 30 minutes searching for all these seashells, tripping really fucking hard. So all my pockets are full. I can't pick up any more seashells and sand dollars, so we fucking run up on that group of tourists I mentioned earlier and we ask them to take a picture of us. And they definitely knew we were not sober, but regardless, we got that picture taken. After they take a couple pictures, we finally decide that it is time to go into the actual town and into all those shops. So we start walking over there. But for whatever reason, instead of walking across the shoreline or straight to the sidewalk, we go for these mini sand dunes and tall grass and like start walking through those. It literally feels like a fucking hike. I'm getting my shoes all fucked up. I'm getting sandy, dirty, tired. But for some reason, we just didn't think there was a better option. I really don't know what was going on with that. But eventually, we got off those sand dunes and got up onto the sidewalk. The second we got on that sidewalk, I started peaking. I was tripping so fucking hard. Like, I'm not even, like, I thought that I was peaking when we missed Seaside. Then I thought we were peaking when we were walking up Seaside. Then I thought we were peaking once we were looking for those sand dollars. I just kept tripping harder and harder and harder and harder, which was probably because we just kept taking more shrooms throughout the course of the car ride and they were all kicking in individually. But I didn't realize that at the time. I was I'm out of my mind right now. And so I'm thinking all this, and all of a sudden I start to realize that James definitely is too, and also Adriel, because we all fucking took the same amount basically, and we're all did it at the same time. And so right as I'm thinking about all this, I get tripped the fuck out by this one wall to our left and all these people walking forward. Like that event right there happens and I know I'm being like, whoa, what the fuck? I say that out loud. The second I say that, James says the same thing about the same people and the same wall. So we look at each other and we're like, oh yeah, we're on the same level right now. We're both fucked up. And because we were both thinking about that shit this entire time. So we're looking at that, we're like, okay, we're tripping hella hard. We keep walking. Every single person that walks towards us, we're like, oh my God, like they trip us the fuck out when they get 10 feet ahead of us and then they look normal and walk past us. But then after that happens like 3 times, there's this guy that starts walking towards us and he is walking fast as hell wearing a full black leather trench coat, black pant, everything is blacked out. He even had these glasses that were completely blacked out too. He has his arms at fucking 10 and 2 like this, and he just has 2 fingers like this sticking out of either end of both of his sleeves, and he's just walking around going do 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 do, and then he fucking just hops the wall and jumps over onto the sand in the beach, and it was like a fucking 9-foot drop, and he probably jumped 3 feet in the air, so it was 12. Then he just landed and went do 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 and started walking further away fast as hell once again, and we're like, James is like, oh, he's doing what we're doing. I'm like, he is not doing what we're doing. That is fucking Fent Frank. I don't know what the hell he is on something. He is not on fucking shrooms. So we all start laughing really hard about that because that guy was on some type of shit. I don't even know. And so we're laughing about that. We walk past him and we start to hit the main strip of the actual town. And so when we're walking down there, we once again do the same exact thing. There's so much shit and so many people. Everyone we look at, now I'm peeking even harder than I was when I was fucking walking up the strip the first time. Now we're walking down it, and I genuinely, it's so hard to describe how these people look to my tripping mind, but I would literally, I'd just be walking, I'd look up, and I'd be, oh my God, I would fucking literally do that. I would have that reaction in front of them. They're right here, and I literally look up, lock eyes, oh, I laugh, fucking look down, oh my God. So I put my head down, I just start walking faster, because I don't want them to know how fucked up I am. And James is doing the same shit. Every person looks funny as fuck to him too. So we're looking at him walking faster, and literally we're bobbing and weaving through people, going faster and faster and faster and faster, because every single person looks weird. And then suddenly we're at the end of the strip. We didn't go into a single shop. So we're like, okay, clearly we got to turn around, we got to pull ourselves together, and we got to get this shit done. So we walk right back up that strip, we post up at this one trash can, and we pull ourselves together. After we pull ourselves together, we decide to try for the strip once more. We start walking down, and you probably guessed it, the same exact shit happens. So I stop at this other trash can. I'm like, okay, guys, what the fuck are we doing? We are literally peeking. Everyone that sees us knows that we're super fucked up, and we're literally out of our minds in the most public setting that we're gonna be at in this entire trip, basically. And so we're stopping at this trash can. I'm like, we gotta do something. And they're both just looking at me mushroomed out. So I'm like, okay, let's just go into this store right here. So, okay, we walk into this tourist shop, and they're selling hoodies and all sorts of stuff. Everything looks fucking trippy as shit to my eyes, and I'm like, well, I'm just looking at everything, but I'm not buying any of it. It's all just some bullshit. So eventually we're like, this store fucking sucks. We gotta leave. We walk out of that store, and we start walking down the strip. And so as we're walking down this fucker, once again, the same shit fucking happens. We're laughing our ass off at everything, at everyone. We're pointing. I'm almost falling in the street. We're almost hitting people. I'm staring at people. We are all a mess. We are literally walking, breathing, living fucking psychedelic mushrooms. It's a problem. I'm genuinely sitting there just thinking about how bad this probably looks. If another person's seeing us, they're gonna look at us and be like, oh my God, what are those kids doing? Those kids are bad. That's real bad. So I'm tripping my ass off. But I find it funny though at the same time. So I'm like, I don't give a shit. I am having a great time right now. I'm living it up in Oregon. It's fucking 420. I do not care. So we're just aimlessly walking down this strip, talking about how cool every store is, as if we don't have the free will and ability to just go into these stores. We were so fucked up that we couldn't even use our brains to think about where we were going. We were just pure dopamine, walking around this fucking strip, smiling, laughing, and being obvious as fuck. Every single person that we ran into that looked weird, trippy, anything, we would literally point, gasp, laugh, or do anything. I want to make it very clear, we were so obvious when we looked at people and pointed and fucking did anything. They were looking at us mad pissed because they knew we were fucked up too. And so as we're fucking walking down this shit, we once again aimlessly walk all the way down, bobbing and weaving through people, just laughing and trying to hold back our shit and keep our trip in control. But we just can't. Somehow we end up back at that same trash can. Half the times we end up at that trash can, I don't even remember walking back up. I just remember walking down the strip and just appearing at that same trash can. It's alright, I guess we're walking down the strip again, and then doing that same thing and just repeating it. We were just stuck in a loop, spawning back at this trash can. So we're basically about to fucking cut it quits, because we can't even put in the brain power to fucking decide what we're gonna do. We're just literally walking mushrooms. But we decide to give the strip another shot. We turn around from that same fucking trash can, and we start walking down once more. As we're walking, once again, this might come as a shocker, but we are walking aimlessly, not fucking doing anything. But then I see this one window, and it has fucking honey in jars just lining the fucking window. So I see that, and I'm like, oh my god, I need that. So I fucking beeline, go straight into that store, because I'm looking to buy at least a jar or two of honey. I walk up in there, I'm immediately looking at all this honey, just to find out that it's fucking jam. They have 0 honey in there. I'm fucking disappointed as hell, because there's at least 200 jars of jam, and not one of them is honey. So I'm fucking pissed. I'm looking around. That's when I see James losing his shit. He's like, oh my god, there's so much meat. And I'm like, we're in a jam shop. Where the fuck are you looking at meat? So I turn around to see this gigantic wall of beef jerky, and I'm like, holy shit. He's like, kangaroo meat. Oh my god, kangaroo meat. I've never had kangaroo meat. I need to try kangaroo meat. He's tweaking about it. He's like, oh my god, it's fucking $30 though. It's $30. He fucking calls me over there. I'm looking at this fucking kangaroo meat. There's a big ass pack right here that costs $30, and then a small pack literally 2 inches away from it that costs $10. And he just couldn't see the fucking small pack, I guess. Or it was $15 actually. And so he's like, dude, why isn't there a fucking cheaper one? I need to try kangaroo meat. So I'm literally just fucking It's right there, dude. And he's like, oh, no way. He grabs like 3 fucking packs of this. Like, he spends just about as much as he was going to on that big pack and gets less jerky for it. Like, he was tripping hard as hell. He's going to the counter or fucking buying this kangaroo meat jerky, and I'm fucking looking around. That's when I find out that they actually do have honey in this store. But it's not jars of honey. It's those sticks of honey, like those little fucking like things that you bite into, right? And so I'm like, oh, honey, no fucking way. So I'm like, Adriel. He comes over there. I'm like, get some sticks. They're only like fucking 50 cents. So we start getting all these sticks of honey. I call James over after he buys his kangaroo meat, and we just get together this big ass bundle of honey sticks. Like, it literally had a rubber band around it, and it was like this fucking thick. I pay for that. It was probably honestly like $15. Like, we bought so much honey. And so now we're walking around this strip aimlessly, laughing our asses off, but now we all have honey sticks in our mouth, and we're slurping them down and just looking fucked up as hell. So we walk all the way to the end of that strip, once again spawn right back at that trash can, and we're even more fucked up just drinking this honey. And I'm looking at them, and literally every single time we get to this trash can, it seems like all of us lose less and less all of us lose more and more processing skills in our brain, and like lose the ability to make decisions. Like, I'm looking at them and they look like I'm just getting a mushroom stare back, and I'm like, you know what? I'm at the same point. We're literally just pointlessly walking around eating honey. So we're just laughing at this trash can. I'm almost falling in the street. James is almost falling into people. And Adriel just looks like he's tripping. We're all fucked up at this trash can, just biting into these honey sticks. So we're deciding where we're going to go because we're just about to leave. But we want to check out a couple more things. So I'm fucking going to bite into my honey stick, right? That's when I bite it and it sprays all over fucking Adriel. Me and James both see it like, but he doesn't notice. So we're trying not to laugh so that way he doesn't realize he's coated in fucking honey. And he's realizing that we're laughing. He's like looking around, like trying to find out what's so funny, but it was literally across his chest. No diddy. But like, fuck, seriously, I literally sprayed him up with that shit. And so James almost falls in the street from laughter, but Adriel starts questioning what we're laughing about. That's when we're like, all right, let's just keep walking, right? So we walk back down this strip. That's when I realized there's this arcade like right over to our right side that I went to when I was like a little kid and came over here. So I'm like, oh shit, it's the arcade. And so both of them are like, oh, what? You want to go up and in there? And I'm like, the fuck? Why would I want to go in the arcade? I'm not about to spend money in there. But then I take another look in there, and it looks trippy as fuck. So I'm like, oh, no, I think we're going to have to go in there, right? So we walked past the main entrance, but like 10 feet ahead of us, there was another entrance. So we opened that door and walked in there, only to find out this was not the arcade. I genuinely don't know what the fuck we walked into, but like, on both sides, it was still some type of gaming thing. Like, I had the swiping things for the fucking gaming card, and they were gaming machines. They looked like those fucking, like, that game at the fair where, like, you get behind that thing and you try to pop a balloon with that water and it, like, rises up. It looked like that, except for it had, like, Connect 4 or Shuffleboard on the screen. I'm not too sure what it was, or, like, maybe fucking, Connect 4. I don't know. I was tripping. I was confused. I walk in. I see those people fucking lined up on the sides because it's on literally both sides of this, and then right at the front, there's just this dude in front of a black TV holding a microphone. And as soon as we walk in there, it felt like a fucking movie. They all completely stopped the game and stopped what they were doing and just turned around and fucking looked at us. So instantly we're like, what the fuck? Because we're in the wrong place. Everyone's staring at us. And then that guy with the microphone's like, are you guys playing? And I look over at James, just give him a quick side eye, and we're both like, oh, how we literally just did that. That's all we did. And we turned around and left the fuck up out of there. So every person in there was probably just as confused as we were. Then we turn back around, walk all the way back up. We're laughing our ass off because we're like, what the fuck was that place? What the fuck was that place? What the hell just happened? We spawned right back at our trash can and pull ourselves together one last fucking time. We go back down the strip and go into this arcade. All we do is walk straight through the arcade from one entrance to the exit, and we leave and go back to that fucking trash can. We were in there for less than 30 seconds. Like, I genuinely don't know what any of the thought process was behind what we were fucking doing. It made zero sense. And so we end up back at that trash can, and so we're like, okay, what the fuck are we doing? And I don't think I've said this, but I want to make it very clear that every single streetlight on the street had a trash can next to it. We somehow kept ending up at the same exact trash can though. It was literally our spawn point. There was at least fucking 20 trash cans on this road, and we always ended up at the same fucking trash can. So we're all sitting there mushroom brained the fuck out, and at this point, it's pretty clear that even if there is a shop that we're trying to go to, we are not going to be productive enough to fucking go into the shop. So we're all sitting there thinking like, what's the last thing we want to do before we leave Seaside and head back to our fucking Airbnb? And every single fucking strip that we walk past, they probably had like I want to say 4 or 5 ice cream shops on this one fucking road, and every single one of them smelled so good because they were making fresh cones in there. So I'm like, no matter what, I'm getting me some ice cream before I leave. And they were all in the same boat. So we start walking around and looking for a trash can. And I'm just now realizing that looking for these ice cream shops is the only time, and this was the first and only time we went to the other side of the street. I actually cannot believe that. I'm just now realizing this. We literally never went to the other side of that fucking street besides for, we were tripping hard. But besides the point, we pull up to this ice cream shop across the street, and like I mentioned, every ice cream shop smelled so good. It looked cool, you know, like we needed ice cream from there. This one that we went into out of like the 5 ice cream shops on that road was the only one that didn't smell good. Like, we literally walk in there was 0 scent to it. Every single wall is white. It literally looks like the school whiteboards. Like, it's kind of stained, but completely white. Then they have these rails for the line that are also painted white. And then the ice cream shit is also white. The walls behind, everything in there was white. There wasn't a single picture. There wasn't a single painting, poster. There wasn't even signs. There was fucking nothing. This was literally the saddest, most gray place I've ever been. So I'm sitting in there, and I'm starting to just get sad just being there. I'm like, I don't want this ice cream. It doesn't smell good. It looks plain. Like, why would I want to eat here? James and Adriel are looking around like, okay, man, yeah, like, what should we get? And so I'm just sitting there like, what are you getting? I'm like, I don't want ice cream from here, man. Every other one smells so fucking good. And they're both just like, they do? And I'm like, you're telling me y'all haven't smelt that? And they're like, well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they genuinely just didn't know. So we fucking leave there because I'm like, fuck this. I'm getting good ice cream. We walk up into this other fucking ice cream shop. Instantly, it smells amazing. There's fucking actual colors on the walls. It looks like an ice cream shop. So we order our ice cream and we start to walk away. And so at this point, we're walking back to the car so that way we can head back to fucking Tillamook to our Airbnb, right? And as we're walking down, once again, you guessed it, we're bobbing and weaving because everyone looks so fucking funny to us that we're about to lose our shit. We're literally, like I said, just filled with fucking dopamine, waiting to burst. Just give us a reason. We will be on the ground laughing and seizing up. Like, it was bad. And as we're walking, we're bobbing and weaving. All of a sudden, I see this guy with the craziest mustache I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God. Like, he like had a picture perfect mustache, and then it was just long and thin out to like right here. He looked like fucking Wario, except for fucking like 6'5". He was way taller than me too. So I'm like looking up at this mustache, like, oh my God, I'm starting to laugh, like going exactly like that. And James sees that shit too. He's like, oh my God, Adriel. We're both trying to get Adriel's attention, so we look at this fucking mustache, and he's just refusing to. He's like, no man, I'm not gonna look. I'm like, dude, you have to look. For whatever reason, he's just refusing to look until eventually James is like, oh my God, look at this. Just turns around and points up right as that guy is turning to go into a store, and Adriel gets to see it. It was literally the most insane timing, and the fucking mushroom senses must have been kicking in for that timing to work out. But regardless, Adriel seen the mustache, and we kept fucking walking. It'd been maybe 5 business minutes, and that ice cream was already upsetting James's stomach. So he was like, fuck this ice cream. I need to throw this shit in the river. And so I'm like, all right, let's go throw it in the river. So we pull up to some fucking like discreet spot, and he fucking grabs his ice cream cone and fucking flings that shit in the river. And watching that ice cream cone just fly through the air, we're like, whoa, like it should look trippy as fuck. Then it slapped down on the water, and this fucking flock of birds just starts fucking flying down onto the ice cream. I felt like I was on an episode of National Geographic or something just watching this. I'm like, damn, this is crazy. After we watch those birds fucking devour that shit, we walk straight back to the car, hop in there, and get ready to head home. We had spent way too much time in Seaside. Like, you can obviously tell, we couldn't keep track of time for shit, and we couldn't even keep track of what we were doing for shit. So we just decided to fucking go home, because initially we were gonna go to Astoria after Seaside, but we'd already driven all the way through Seaside, damn near to Astoria, and then had to turn around. So we're like, you know what, we'll just cut our losses, head home. It's been a fucking adventurous day, so let's just head back to the Airbnb. We planned on just driving basically all the way back to the Airbnb, and so I'm just chilling in the car. That's when suddenly I hear both my friends go, oh shit, Owen, we're stopping at Markham Lane. And I'm like, Markham Lane, what the fuck are you talking about? I thought they were fucking with me, because I heard there's just no way there's just a random road in Oregon with my last name. Like, I gotta have family there or something. Like, what the fuck going on with that? I think they're fucking with me, and they don't mention it after they say it like twice. Then suddenly we just start pulling off to the side of the road, and I'm like, huh? Pop out of the car, I just see Markham Lane right fucking there, and I'm like,
we stumbled across good old fucking Markham Lane. Motherfucking Markham lives in Markham Lane too, though. Maybe Owen knows him. No, you don't know. Maybe they're related, though. You never know. Everyone's gonna be like, who the fuck's posted up on this side?
And while tripping on mushrooms, that was some of the weirdest shit of my life. Just seeing a fucking random road in Oregon that we pulled off for that I didn't even think actually existed. Just right there. So I popped over there, took a quick picture by it, and we got back on the fucking road. We didn't actually end up eating like more mushrooms on the drive back over to the Airbnb because we'd basically been tripping since we got to the Airbnb last night. So we were just getting a quick little detox and just for fucking smoking because it was still 420. No need for the sober shit, right? And so we pull up to the Airbnb, and right when we pull up to the Airbnb, we're all done tripping. It's been a couple hour drive, so we're ready to eat some more. So we eat up some more, pack up a bag, and we plan to go to the fucking like actual ocean beach near our Airbnb to smoke one last time for the day. This was unfortunately our last smoke sesh on any beach in Oregon, so we were making sure that it was a good one. The sun was setting, we were starting to trip a little bit, and we got very faded. After we were finished smoking and the sun was setting, it was getting cold, we got back in the car, drove back to the Airbnb. Once we got there, we took some more shrooms because we needed to end this trip off with a bang. Well, both trips technically, right? And so we eat up those, go onto the porch of our Airbnb and start smoking again, right? So we smoke, our fucking mushrooms are starting to kick in, so we go inside and we go to watch Roadhouse for the second time, seeming how Adriel didn't remember it the night before. And literally right as we press play on this movie, I feel myself starting to trip really nice. And so that's why I started doing the math in my head. I'm like, you know, if I take some more shrooms right now, they should be kicking in right when it gets to like my favorite point in the movie, meaning I'll be well off by the time it gets there. I'll be laughing my ass off just like last night. So I do just that. I go, I take more. Everybody else follows. We're all fucking tripping very good. Like after we left, after we left Cannon Beach, I lost count of how many fucking mushrooms I was taking. I was just grabbing them and eating them at that point. And so I'm tripping pretty good. We're all watching this fucking movie, and I'm fucking working up to my fucking peak of my trip right now, right? And so we're getting up there, and the movie's just about to hit its halfway point, which is like what I was planning for my trip to fucking hit in at. And right as it's working up to that halfway point, I'm tripping good as fuck. So we pause the movie, we go outside to smoke because we're at a halfway point, right? So we're smoking up, and little did we know, this was our biggest mistake. Because, I mean, I really don't even know how long we were out there for. I just remember watching the moon slowly set over the ocean as I tripped harder and harder and got higher and higher. We are all out there laughing our asses off so loud. Like, we're just getting more and more fucked up as, like, fucking minutes pass. And so eventually, we go to head inside, and we are all tripping mad hard. And you might be thinking, that's perfect to finish the movie. Well, we were not thinking. We went on a rampage through this Airbnb. We're running into every single room, up and down the staircases, jumping on every bed, going into every room that we fucking can. And we were literally acting how kids act when their parents leave them alone in a hotel room. But our parents weren't around, so fuck it, right? We're all fucking around, we're all getting fucked up, and we're even taking the screens off of every window in the Airbnb and sticking half of our body out of it for like a better view or something. I honestly don't know what we were doing. We were just literally on a rampage through this Airbnb. But as we're sticking our heads outside of this fucking window, I'm looking around at the outside world. I'm smelling all that fucking air out there. I start to feel like I'm trapped up in a cage. All of us are feeling like we're trapped up in a cage. We're looking at this outside world, and we want to just go out there. And you know, it's ours for the taking. We need to go out there and rampage like we just did in this fucking Airbnb. So we all decide we're gonna walk to the fucking ocean, right? And so we all toss on our shoes, toss on all of our fucking clothes, and we fucking head out for an adventure, right? It's probably just past midnight. Like, it's super late. Nobody's out. And so we walk out of our fucking Airbnb, and there were two roads. So like, we were in like this cul-de-sac, right? There was one road down and one road up, and those were the only two ways that we could get to the ocean. As we're walking down, we see two deer, one at that end and one at that end. They're both blocking the roads and just fucking staring at us. And they're not moving at all. They're not moving a muscle. So we're just like, we're like literally at a standstill at some type of like fucking standoff, like some cowboys in the Wild West, but with these deer and tripping. And so we're staring at them, they're staring at us. And that's when I instantly, as soon as I seen those deers blocking like both the roads, I'm like, oh, this is a sign not to go. This is like our guardian angels telling us you're gonna get in fucking trouble and you're gonna get fucked up if you go out there. So I'm picking up on that vibe. James is picking up on that same vibe. So we call it quits. We just go inside. The second we go inside, those deer turn around and run away. And normally, I would be like, oh, fuck yeah, the deer are gone. Let's go for it. But I was tripping and I was acting smart about it. So I'm like, you know what? That's still a sign. I'm not fucking with that. So we all walk upstairs, and I'm pretty sure we ended up back on the porch to go smoke. So we're out there. We're smoking hella, right? As we're looking out, because our fucking porch had a view of like the ocean that we were going to walk to, we start to see beach patrol fly up and down the beach over and every time we go out to smoke throughout the night. we start to see beach patrol every single time we're out there. So we realized that those deer actually genuinely did save us, because we were going to go to that beach and we were going to get fucked up by beach patrol because we were fucked up. And so we're like, damn, looks like those deer really were looking out for us, right? So after we go on this whole rampage, fucking like literally play music, blast everything, fucking just run around and fuck around, our trips are basically over. And at this point, we sit down and press play on the movie. Like, literally the most euphoric, best moment of the trip that I was fucking trying to save for the movie, we just expended all around the fucking Airbnb, just running around. After we got done smoking, I had to go to the bathroom, so I went over to the master bedroom to handle business, right? I walk up in there, that's when I see that this toilet has a bidet. Now, I've never used a bidet before, but my tripping ass needed to find out how that shit worked. So, after I handle business, I go to fucking use this bidet, right? And it has this little dial you spin. I'm spinning it, but as I spin it, all the lights in the bathroom start to dim, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden I hear this noise just charging up, going loud, some electric noise, just charging up, right? And I'm like, hang on, I don't know if this is how it's supposed to work. That's when suddenly the lights start to flicker and that vibration goes, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. But it was too late. That thing fucking shoots at me. I'm like, I literally start fucking screaming because it was not, I don't know what it did. It malfunctioned. It did something wrong. I was not fucking with it. I scream loud as fuck. I hear all my friends out there just laughing their asses off. I basically sprint out there like a fucking little kid running for their dad in the night because there's a monster under their bed. And I'm like, dude, what happened? I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that bidet, man, but something ain't right. And I explain that shit to them. They all start laughing, and then we press play on the movie and finish that fucker out. After we finished the movie, Adriel clocked out. I really don't understand how, but he can sleep on mushrooms. I don't get it, but he goes to sleep, and so me and James are just up, right? We start surfing through YouTube, but the thing was, we were at some Airbnb, so this YouTube account had been used by everybody who fucking came here. The last people that were there, I don't know what type of shit they like to watch, but the first fucking recommendation we get is for some fucking crazy lifted customized tow truck in like the Rock Mountains of Arizona, fucking towing out razors and shit. So me and James see this, and the thumbnail looked trippy as shit. And that car, that tow truck, I mean, also looked awesome to our tripping minds. We're like, oh, okay, we need to press play on this. We press play on it, and we're just waiting to see some cool shit. Literally, the only thing that they edited of this fucking footage was the thumbnail. Everything else looked gray, it just looked sad, and it just looked like colorless, like some black and white shit almost. So we're literally just sitting there talking less and less until we're both just zoned out, just watching this shit. They're not saying anything besides, like, yeah, I'm just going to go tow out this truck over here. He said he'd pay me like $800. It's literally just this guy's work life that he's just vlogging, right? Most boring shit of our life. We watched 15 minutes of this, just not even talking, before James is like, what the fuck are we doing, dude? And just clicks off it. He's like, are we on a dopamine detox or are we tripping? Before he even says that, we're both laughing hella hard because we literally got lost in the sauce. We got so insanely distracted that we missed the entire good part of the movie with our good trip, and then we got even more distracted and started watching some bullshit on a dopamine detox while tripping. Like, we were fucked up, right? And to be honest, after this, I have zero recollection of the night. I just remember clicking off that video, laughing my ass off, and then waking up the next morning with a text from James' mom saying we needed to be home as soon as possible. So we cleaned up the Airbnb, smoked one last time on the porch, and loaded up in the car. Adriel took some shrooms for the rest of the drive, but I decided to be a sober Sally with James. Well, besides weed, but y'all know that shit. And so we ended up driving and stopping by Portland once more now that everything was open. We got some food, hit up the mall, but nothing too big. Got back up on the road, and we basically drove the rest of the way to Idaho without stopping once, besides to smoke gas and to get gas. And by the time we pulled up to Idaho and like into our town, it was somewhere between probably 4 to 6 in the afternoon, and we still were not sober. We'd been to 3 different states without being sober one fucking time. But when a once-in-a-life 420 opportunity happens, you gotta take that shit and go to school the next day like nothing happened.